If your goal is to lose fat, it is absolutely essential that you are eating the correct amount of calories, otherwise you won't see any results. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to calorie calculators online, they can be extremely inaccurate and leave people just confused. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the online calorie calculators work for you so you can get a decent starting off point for your fat loss goals. Now, this is going to be part 1 of calculating calories. I will be coming out with a second video with another technique you can use. Stay tuned because I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeves. Okay, so the first method we are going to look at is using a calorie calculator. So these can be very inaccurate, so do not take this as like the be all end all. Don't be like, oh, the calculator told me this amount, this is what I have to stick to. Use them more as a guidance to just give you an idea of where to start. Now, even then, it can be confusing because if you look at a couple different calculators, they can give you pretty different answers. So the solution to this would be to use a couple different calculators and then just find the average amount of calories and just kind of pick something in the average amount of calories. So what I always suggest is starting on the higher end and then adjusting from there. If you start too low, you're kind of screwing yourself over because if you hit a plateau, then you don't have many calories to take from. So if you say, oh, I'm gonna start my diet on 1,200 calories, that's pretty much like at the limit, like that's the lower limit. So then what do you do if you hit a plateau? You've backed yourself into a corner. So it's better to start higher, stick to that for a few weeks, see how your body responds, and then adjust if you need to. This is not a race. So we're gonna bring up some calculators and walk you through this. First calculator we're going to use is the If It Fits Your Macros calculator. I actually really like this one because it gathers the most information from you. So, okay, we're going to say our person, she's 26, she is 5'3", she is 150. Now goal weight, I don't suggest putting a ton of emphasis on a goal weight, so just kind of put a rough ballpark range for this part. So I don't know, maybe she wants to lose 20 pounds, so, but again, it's like, you might end up it might end up being different, but just put something that's similar-ish. Okay, so then let's say she's like a light activity person. She doesn't sit all day, but she's not walking around all day. She's going to be training 4 times a week for an hour. We're gonna say she's just breathing hard. She's not like insanely intense. For cardio, she'll be doing 3 times a week for 20 minutes. So this is where you gotta be honest with yourself at how hard you're pushing yourself, because if you put intense, I seriously might die, but you're actually working out light, it's a bit of a difference. So we're gonna just put moderate, I'm breathing hard, because honestly, most people aren't actually pushing themselves that much, so I usually kind of assume it's kind of like on the lower end of intensity. Okay, now the next part here, if you're using this calculator, doesn't really matter that much.
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so they are saying that she should be eating 1,823 calories, 130 grams of protein. Cool. Okay, so next we are going to go to another calculator. So we're gonna put in, so we've got our age, 26, 150, 5'3". Now here, this one has a lot less options. So we're gonna put the 4 times a week, but unfortunately it doesn't let you take into account the daily activity level as well. So that is now 1,579 calories for fat loss. So quite a bit lower than the last result. Now, like I said, because it doesn't ask for as much information, it's a little bit harder. Now, note, do not pick the extreme fat loss option. Extreme approaches result in extreme disappointment. This option shouldn't even be called extreme fat loss. It should be called disappointment fat loss, because you're gonna eat your 1,200 calories and you're gonna lose the weight and then you're gonna put it all back on and more, and extreme approaches result in extreme disappointment. So don't look at that one. Don't even look at it. Same as with the macro, the if it fits your macro calculator. I actually forgot to address that when it says, how fast would you like to lose weight? And it's like slow and steady, speedy and sporadic. Put slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. So we got that. Okay, next calculator. I literally just typed in calorie calculator and I got this calculator.net. So again, we're gonna put our same stats in here. She's 5'3". She's 150 pounds. Exercise 4 to 5 times a week. So here, sometimes you could even test out different selections, like different options. For this individual, exercise 4 to 5 times a week, or daily exercise or intense exercise 3 to 4 times a week. So if she thought she was really pushing herself in her 4 workouts a week, she could put that. So we're gonna just try with the 4 to 5 and just see what it says. Well, that's actually, okay, so this is another good reasonable amount. So for mild weight loss, it actually says 2,000 calories, so higher than the if it fits your macro calculator. And then for weight loss, it's 1779. So pretty close. And then extreme weight loss, we don't go there. We don't go there. That's honestly, this was a pretty nice, obvious one, because now we can see there was the one that the free dieting one gave us a pretty low amount, but then the other two gave us a similar amount. So that means you would definitely stick to the higher result. So we got 1779 and then we also got 1823. So from here you kind of have to use your own discretion. So if you're someone who's been overeating a lot lately, and say if you had to guess how many calories you've been eating, if you've been eating say like in the 2000s, then dropping down to 1800 calories is a nice decrease from that amount. If you're someone who's already been eating like close to 1800, or maybe you've been trying to eat lower than that, but you've been falling off track a lot and having a hard time sticking to things, that is another case where you want to start higher. So yeah, from here, it's kind of like just gotta pick a number. So I would suggest going with like 17 or 18 with this, in this scenario. And now for protein, you could follow the if it fits your macro result, but honestly, as long as you're eating 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you're fine. So you don't really need the calculator to tell you that part. It's more so just the calories to get you off on the right foot. And that's how you start. When it comes to your calorie intake, you've got to have the perspective of looking at the bigger picture. So a really common mistake or thing I hear people saying, so let's say they're currently trying to lose weight on 1500 calories, but multiple times a week they find themselves falling off track and overeating quite a bit. So then I might say to them, well, try eating 1800 calories. And then they'll say, that sounds really high. That sounds scary. Am I going to gain weight? But if you step back for a second and think about how much you end up eating on the days you fall off track, if you can actually stick to 1800 calories, you will be eating less than you end up eating when you aim for 1500, because it really comes down to your weekly average. So if you're only eating 1500 3 days of the week and all the other days you're eating 2000 plus, then you're gonna end up eating more than if you just stuck to 1800 most days of the week. So that's so important to remember, because if you're worried about gaining weight but you're actually already eating more than that, then you're not going to gain weight. And it's hard to look at it that way. I know it's so obvious now to me, but I know back in the day I totally looked at it the same way. So you just have to remember that it's about the bigger picture, and if you're sticking to it most of the time. Okay, so to put that into like a a visual representation. So yeah, let's write that out. So let's pretend it's just literally what I just said. This person is aiming to eat 1,500 calories, but they really struggle to stick to it. So they end up only sticking to 1,500 on, I don't know, this is random, obviously, on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All the other days, they end up losing control and overeating. So by the end of the week, they're actually eating 13,700 as opposed to 10,500, which would be the total if they were eating 1,500 throughout the week. So then let's say that instead they're eating 1,800 calories as their daily calorie goal. That puts them at 12,600 calories for the week. So it is still less than when they were aiming for 1,500 calories. So that just kind of, again, puts it into perspective. And honestly, I would say the example of 13,700 is actually conservative because it depends on the food that you eat when you fall off track, but some foods can add up very, 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 very quickly. Like something like peanut butter, you can rack up hundreds of calories in like bites in seconds. So honestly, like that's being like underestimating, like that's being conservative. So yeah, honestly, it would probably end up being higher than 13,700 for the entire week. So again, that just puts it even into more perspective that eating 1,800 would probably be even less than what I'm saying here. So hopefully that helps you kind of like wrap your head around the concept of this. With all of this being said, it's so important to remember that we're dealing with like a human body here, so you don't know 100% how your body is going to respond. People will say, oh, how much do I decrease? Will this amount do this? What is this? Like there's literally so many variables that come into play, and some of these things can change on a daily basis. Like your levels of stress can impact how you respond, and you're just not gonna know until you try. So you just have to trust the process and be patient. Unfortunately, you do have to be patient and give some of these things time to work because anything sustainable is not going to be a quick fix. So yeah, just remember that. We're not robots, so we can't just type in a formula and know exactly what's gonna work. So just keep that in mind. Remember to be patient, and you've got this. You've got this. And that is it for this video. So stay tuned for the next one when I will give you the other method I have to figure out your calories. The other method is actually a little bit more customized because it's based off of what you're currently doing. So you will find out how to do this in the next video of this series. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I think I pointed the wrong way. And so you don't miss the next episode. Ho 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 ho. All right, bye.